Hey there, welcome to Concept Hunter, the show brought to you by Heineken. No, it isn't, I just have a Heineken shirt. Let's get over it and move on. Particle X is the game we'll be covering today. It's created by It's the Ashtray, that's the name, and it is in its core a Dodger game, and I absolutely love Dodger games. I have not seen one in quite a while, but this one was just phenomenal. It's a bit old, I found it only now, and I'm sorry that I found it only now. But it is really, really great. It does a lot of things, and the progression here is quite remarkable. They put on mechanics and completely changed the gameplay. Every chapter or so, there's 3 acts, and there's quite a lot of levels, but not a ton, but quite a lot of levels. I'd have to say that the worst thing about the game is that it ends. At least for me, when it ended, I was sad because I wanted more, and that definitely says something. So, let's get started. Particle X. I'm going to press start. The music is great, but I disabled it so you can hear the sound of my voice. It is great. The sound design is wonderful, with things shooting around and the lasers, and we'll see it. It does have a story. We'll just go through the basics of it, but it's not exactly an amazing story. Let's just say that. You know, scientific stuff in the sense it's Particle X, not a really ingenious name. A lot of scientific mumbo jumbo that doesn't really mean anything, and you have a supercomputer that goes awry. Really, really standard stuff in that sense, but we're focusing on the mechanics and not something more than that. I've done it! I've created the world's most dense energy source, and then I shall call it... Really? Particle X? That's the worst possible name for any particle there is, but okay. So we have Mary. Well done, Professor. Now you must transfer Particle X to the containment chamber. Move the mouse over Particle X to activate the magnetic displacers. You will then be able to navigate using the mouse. Guide X to the spatial relocator. Scientific mumbo jumbo. So clearly the level hasn't started. Only when I put it up on the thing does the level start. And this is the basic thing that mouse games actually use. Now, mouse games have a problem. And in this game, it is in pretty much any mouse game, it's there, but it's very minimal and never actually bothered me. And I'm talking about the delay. If you'll notice that I go a little bit too fast for the actual particle in-game to follow my mouse, you could see it happen. And it's a little bit of a problem in most games, but here it's done well enough that I don't feel it. I feel that it's pretty fluid, and that's really, really, really important. So it's done well, okay? I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's done sufficiently well. The first problem, and probably one of the only problems I want to talk about, is what happens when I lose. So I'm going to crash into a wall and lose. And what you can see here is that the dialogue for the story is up again. Now, this doesn't bother you in most levels, usually in the start and at the start of chapters, just to explain what's going on, to explain a little bit of the mechanics. But it doesn't have to be there every time I start the level. I mean, it's okay that you have a story, even though it's not amazing. And it's nice, but why is it there again? I just read it. There's no need for me to read it again. You restart the level, but don't restart the dialogue. I want to get back in there. If I screwed up, I want to keep on playing, and this really inhibits me because I have to click until I can actually play. So that's something really, really annoying that you should definitely get rid of. Only the first time I start the level, you see it, and once I die, the dialogue should not be there. I should just be able to play. So you reach the exit, and that's about it. And then we have our protagonist, I guess, Professor Savant, or Savante, if you will. Great name. Why aren't we in the containment chamber yet? As you know, Professor, X contains an extremely dense energy potential, as does the containment chamber. It would have been dangerous for the birth of X to be within such close proximity of the containment chamber. I see, of course. Also, don't let X touch any walls or other particles. Okay. So this move open, and we get to the end of the level. Wonderful. Good work. Thanks, Mary. Your guidance is always welcome. You're welcome. Error, blah, blah, blah. Mary? So yeah, bad things happen. Here we're introduced to stuff that shoot, which is quite wonderful. And even more stuff that shoot. I will not end the level and just show you the fact that we also have things that get destroyed, which is kind of interesting. And as we move forward, hello, Professor. I'm assuming in a more evil voice or evil inclination. Mary, what happened? A new directive has been uploaded to my database. No. I see. Please continue with X relocation. So we can also P in order to pause the game. Not really relevant. P to unpause. All right. And we see here that there are reflective panels that, well, reflect. So yeah. Again, we move forward. Some lasers will only deactivate once all switches has been set blue. All right, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to do it. You can see that if I press this, that one turns off. And if I press this, this one turns on. I press both of them, the laser stopped. I can finish the level. So we're introduced to more and more and more and more and more mechanics. In a pretty slow way. It's fine because the actual level is very quick. It takes about 3 seconds to finish a level. So it's fine that you have a little bit of you know, talk beforehand. The problem is that this does get old. I want gameplay, and there's a lot to read here. So maybe try and sparse out the progression a little bit. But since the levels are so snappy, it didn't feel bad at any point. So it looks like the spatial relocator is not active in this room. Let me guess, in order to activate the spatial relocator, we'll have to set all the switches to blue. Yeah. So I put these on, I click these, and then I start getting shot by stuff, but I can just finish the level. And yeah, I'm just going to move forward. Professor of the company, and I assume you understood the risks, blah, blah, blah. It might explode, blah, blah, blah. I'm moving in forward so we could actually play. Oh, I missed one. And again, I have to click through everything, which is rather annoying. Move everything. And I had to make sure I don't move too fast, because then it might, you know, jump and then I'd miss one of the switches, which is, again, an issue with mouse games. But other than this very specific level, it almost never happens. So I could just keep going forever because it's so much fun and it's quite quick. I just want to show you a couple more of the mechanics. We're not going to go through the entire game, clearly, because we can't go through the entire game. It'll just take too long. But there are more and more insane, crazy, very interesting mechanics that I guess I'll only be able to tell you about. We're right now in Chapter 1, or Act 1. In Act 2, we actually get a shield that deflects bullets, and we can also leave it at places to activate switches, and then we call it back, which deactivates the switch. This creates a new, different mechanic, and even more interest in levels. And at Act 3, we actually get this, a cannon on top, and we can shoot. We use the keyboard with A and D, okay, WASD, to move the cannon around, and left click in order to shoot. And the last level is actually a Gradius type game. Gradius, in case you're unfamiliar with it, you have a ship on one side and you shoot to the right side and stuff come at you. And it started as a Dodger game and it ends on a Gradius game. And the progression makes sense for me. It's really, really fun. It's always fresh. It's always new. It's always interesting. All these crazy mechanics come to life here. And right now, as an example, the last thing that I'm going to show you is generators that you can see are charging up to the point where I can leave the level. And here I just have to avoid these things shooting at me. Later on, we'll also have things that, you know, if they get hit, then it's a bit slow and I have to protect them, and things move alongside with me. Here again, I just have to dodge stuff until the generators come up, and the game just has more and more mechanics, more and more progression, and is all done quite wonderfully. The art style is nice and simple, just the way I like it, and not looking for 1 second and already die. I'll stop here. The sound design is also great. I did mute it so you can hear the sound of my voice, but the music is wonderful, fits the theme, feels good on it, and, you know, the lasers shoot and you move around. It makes sense. It sounds good. And that's it. That's Particle X. It is by It's the Ashtray. That's the name. It's the Ashtray. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching Concept Hunter, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Go play.